and welcome to today's video. Our videos are not a diagnosis. We are simply speaking our opinions, not factual statements.
This whole video is a lot.
Today we are diving back into the Amberverse, and we will see our girl struggling to accept that her manipulation tactics are backfiring. She seems confused if she was pathologically lying in the past, present, or both. She avoids weighing in or admitting to not exercising, and does her best to give us the most filler content she can muster. I tried my best to go through both of her last two videos, but there was so much filler, I had to cut a vast majority of it out. Just another riveting day in the Amberverse. Because Amber abuses the copyright system, clips will be heavily edited. So let's get into it.
Hello.
Well, hello there, chaps.
We're starting off with the saga. The New Balances didn't fit, so I was searching for a pair of shoes online. Torrid.com. Of course, Torrid.com.
Where else is there?
They are wide width and they have my size. So I'm trying to decide if I should do a 9 or 9.5.
Girl, just order whatever your shoe size is.
Why are you the way that you are?
I had a email from my dietitian. I don't know if you guys remember, but I said how she's going to be talking to the surgeon one-on-one kind of about me as a patient.
I don't know how to manipulate the system.
Then she was going to call me and let me know what,
He was too smart to be manipulated.
they think the next step of action should be. I don't know, I'm kind of confused by it, but
You always are.
I actually got an email from her saying that the meeting between them was canceled.
How dare they?
Because the weather here is really bad. We have tornado warnings. Everyone at the weight loss clinic that I go to, I think, is being sent home because it's really scary weather right now. My hair is so frizzy. I washed it last night.
Her hair is thinning so much at the bottom. Girl, please go and get it professionally cut. Cut those dead ends off.
I am asking you, I'm begging you.
This is what happens. It's so gross. So yeah, the weather last night, I'm worried about a lot of the people, especially in my city. Sorry, I'm trying to find my sympathy bone. Obviously, nothing bad happened to me and Feline, but a lot happened in my city. That's nervous laughter because I was so scared last night.
Yes, oh yes, and a little anxious, but I think that's expected.
A lot of people got hurt and trees fell on people and cars and homes. It was very scary. It was just hard to fall asleep last night because all I could think about is the people affected. Sorry, I'm trying to find my sympathy bone. My sympathy.
5 people lost their lives in Kentucky after severe weather brought thunderstorms and wind gusts, which reached up to 75 miles per hour. Yet Amber manages to mention that she found it hard to sleep because she was worried about other people, rather than being scared herself, which is a normal reaction. That sympathy bone must have finally grown.
Life is scary. And it's just crazy because all of the little tiny problems that people are always blowing up to something bigger than what it needs to be.
Those with narcissistic personality disorder will often find ways to turn the tragedies of other people into something that they can spin into being about themselves.
It's just, there's such bigger issues in the world.
The realization that bigger things are always happening clicks in Amber's head when bad weather hits her small corner of the world. A contradictory enlightenment.
So I started another book. I know a lot of you don't read and stuff.
Condescending Lynn has entered the chat. I'm sure a lot of her viewers love to read, but because we don't want to hear about the novels she reads. Amber comes to the conclusion that we are not readers, and couldn't possibly understand her quirky hobby. I myself love to read. I am always working my way through a book. I just don't care to hear about the novels that Amber picks, or her attempt at placing filler into her videos to fluff them out. Girl, it's boring. Make it brief, or make a story collection on Instagram if you must fulfill the need to tell people what your opinion on a book is. Viewers don't want to hear you go on and on about it.
I've had a lot of people tell me that I should see if I can get weight loss surgery with a different program.
You know, you're a real pain in the ass when things don't go your way.
Because some of you were actually, I'm not even going to say some of you. a lot of you are in my DMs.
Your thoughts.
Telling me that this is like the strangest thing they've ever heard because like weight loss surgery is supposed to help with binge eating.
Two things can be true at once.
And a friend of mine,
What friend is that?
said something that really, I was like, oh wow, that makes a lot of sense. She said, it feels like or seems like having me wait a whole year is like telling a drug addict, I want you to be a whole year sober before you go into rehab.
That's so stupid.
You know, like that was a really good metaphor. And I was like, yeah.
It's more like an alcoholic being denied a new liver until they stop drinking. But we all know metaphors are not your strong point.
Whatever, you wouldn't get it.
And as a side note, Amber keeps declaring she doesn't have bed. So why would she need to get through being a year clean before rehab, if it isn't something she does or has a problem with? She says WLS is meant to help bed, so that is why she needs it now. But she is claiming not to have bed. So how does that make any sense? She tells on herself all the time.
I don't binge. You lie. In the definition that they say, like 3 times the amount of food you normally eat. Like I've never done that.
Such a lie. If a malnourished person eats 100 calories a day, eating 300 calories would not be a binge. It would be severe undereating. It's not 3 times the amount of each person's individual amounts. It's 3 times, more or less of recommended amounts, which differs with each person due to age, height, gender, and so on. Amber consumes 5,000 to 6,000 calories daily in order to maintain 500 pounds. So by her logic, she would need to eat 15,000 to 18,000 calories a day in order for it to be a binge, which is more calories than she should have in a whole week. Her logic is ridiculous.
And people are coming out of the woodwork saying like how binging is like you get so desperate you eat the condiments in your home. What? I've never done that.
You're stupid.
Playing dumb isn't a good look. People that eat condiments during a binge is because they have run out of food. You girl have never done that because you never run out of food. You are privileged with a fully stocked pantry and a $3,000 a month takeout addiction. You don't eat the condiments from the bottle to quell a binge because you have a plethora of food options.
I only ever want to eat like junk.
And you are privileged enough to do so. Junk food is the most common thing to binge on. So what are you even trying to get at?
I mean, this is obviously my fault as well. I just don't feel like I binge. And I'm just starting to like see it more clearly now because like I don't think I've ever wanted to look further deeper into, hey, is this binging or is this just a food addiction? I never wanted to take the time to do that.
Coral, you have spent the last decade talking about bed and overeating. It's your whole personality. What do you mean you didn't want to take the time to question it? It's all you think about.
When you speak, can you hear yourself?
It was just so much easier to just be like, yeah, I binge.
That's exactly what happened.
It was like denial.
No, girl. Denial is the chapter we are in now.
Well, that is a pack of lies, and you know it.
You know, I was just trying to fall onto something. And by doing that, I have actively ruined my future.
Well, what planet are you on?
I think this is a good example that like you can't fall back on things. If you want to get help, you need to be very honest with, you know, professionals, but with yourself.
You don't know how to do that.
I'm learning the hard way that living in delusional land and denial land,
your home planet,
gets you nowhere. And it's easy to sit there and be like, yeah, I eat a large quantity of food and I feel guilty afterwards. You know, it sounds like binge eating.
Well, if the shoe fits.
But realistically, I eat a large quantity of food because that's how I've been since I was a child. I just eat large portions and I feel guilty afterwards because I don't like being fat.
Can you hear yourself right now?
Just like continuously and constantly on my mind because I want it so bad.
Your whole personality?
Should I go to another program because a lot of people are telling me I should.
We've gone from these professionals being the very best of the best, the team she wants to put her trust into, and that she will do anything they say, to doctor shopping. Sure, it wouldn't hurt to get a second opinion, but if Amber wasn't told no, you can't have it straight away, then they would still be the best of the best and no one else would do. Those with narcissistic personality disorder want things on their terms, and when they say so, the word no is not something they can comprehend and will often lead to tantrums.
And it's like, I really trust in, the people that I'm seeing now. Sure I do. But this is a very big change in my life that I want, that I need, and it's to save my life. Right now, I stay confused. I just stay confused because
things aren't happening on your terms, and the word no is something you so greatly struggle with. They aren't making you wait a year for fun, they are doing it because they are the professionals who understand the situation on a much greater level. They believe you are not ready, and are considering your safety. If they didn't care, they would take your money now and have you over and done with, and would have moved on to the next patient. Believe it or not, Amber, they know more than you do.
Okay, you think you're so smart?
Misdiagnosing someone, it does happen. It's a common thing that happens, obviously. I just went through the whole lung debacle.
Here we go again.
Where we thought it was one thing, the doctors thought it was one thing, turns out it was something else. And getting misdiagnosed is very common.
But girl, you didn't get misdiagnosed. They had a list of things to go through so that they could reach the problem by a process of elimination. You just kept running away with everything they said.
I have no patience.
I had uterine cancer, and I'm sure everyone who watches knows that. And I went to the doctor for the symptoms that I was having. I went to the ER, and I always left with the same diagnosis, a UTI.
But girl, you were constantly bleeding vaginally for years. Your answer was to go to the ER, which is the wrong action to take. You were in your late 20s and had never seen an OBGYN, which is terrifying. If you were going to your OBGYN checkups, then the issue would have been discovered much sooner. But instead you ignored the problem. Those that work in the ER are there to help ease pain, to stitch you up, or get fluids into you and other such quick fixes. They help the main issue. They are not there to reach a diagnosis from years of vaginal issues. That's why we are lucky to live in a time period where there are doctors that specialize in this area. You can't blame the ER for your own lack of self-care.
And that was something that I went through for a couple years. It was always a UTI.
It was something you put yourself through for years. I cannot fathom constantly bleeding vaginally and refusing to make an appointment with the doctor that specializes in this area, and doing nothing about it. What were those at the ER meant to do? Girl, I could honestly cry for you for how you treated yourself. It truly upsets me that you knew your vaginal issues were really serious, but you refused to see the OBGYN. And now you shift the fault onto the staff in the ER. Sometimes you render me speechless.
And that's a complete misdiagnosis.
For fuck's sake.
I'm very mad at myself because I feel like I exaggerated my food issues because I was in such denial.
Girl, you are 500 pounds. You did not exaggerate. Your issues are legit and very serious. It's okay to admit that. But being stuck in denial now will only do you further harm.
That I exaggerated my food issues when I first started seeing a psychologist.
So were you lying then? Or lying now? Either way, it always falls back on you being a habitual liar.
That's a lie. That's a lie. This whole video's a lie.
I don't binge. I don't binge. I want to eat all my feelings. I want to binge. I feel possessed for the whole day. Like I don't care. Like I'm not myself. This is the stage where I feel guilt. I honestly was feeling sick because I ate so much. As it's happening, you just can't control it. It is by far one of the most frightening feelings in the world. And I know a lot of the haters are like, you're just saying that so you can get weight loss surgery.
If the shoe fits.
No, I'm saying that because I'm finally choosing me. I'm finally wanting to be healthier. I'm finally wanting to understand myself more and why I am the way I am. And it's like this whole time I've been so blind to that. Like even towards the end of like seeing a psychologist.
Our girl was her version of blind until mere weeks ago, when she mentioned bed to the WLS team and it backfired. Then suddenly she declared she was experiencing mental clarity, and the last decade of bed didn't happen.
She scares me.
There were several times where in my head I was like, there's no way that I have binge eating. And this was before I even wanted weight loss surgery.
You're a lie. You're a lie.
I overeat a lot. Yes, I do, because I have a bigger stomach. Someone my size has a bigger stomach.
You have a bigger stomach because you overeat. You don't overeat because you have a bigger stomach.
For the love of God!
So I am trying to space out all the stuff that you guys are writing me and sending me, and I'm just putting them in vloggity vlogs.
This is quality content, folks.
I can't do it.
Everything else was just filler.
Another 2 videos from Amber without a weigh-in, or admitting to not exercising with those non-steps. I don't have it in me to go through the unboxing of P.O. Box filler content, so let's skip that and check out some of the comments on Amber's video before we leave the situation type deal. You love the diagnosis when it benefits your narrative at the time. And how this woman can talk for so long without saying anything. Amber is really here at 500 pounds telling us she has a large stomach and portion control issues, rather than serious mental health issues, where she uses food to cope emotionally. This is like an alcoholic trying to enter rehab without committing to be sober. That they drink just like everyone else but just more, and all they need is a magic pill to stop them, without doing any emotional work. This is the consequences of Amberlynn diagnosing herself with every mental condition under the sun, running to the doctor to get that diagnosis, only to backtrack later when the diagnosis doesn't fit her narrative. She said for years that she has binge eating disorder, and now doesn't because she wants surgery. It's annoying. Girl, they're making you wait a year for your own safety. They're not doing it to be mean. Clearly, if they thought you could handle the surgery right this second, then you would have been approved. But that's not the case. Take it as it is and get yourself together this next year. You'll be 100 times more successful after surgery that way. Also, food addiction, overeating, is still an eating disorder. You can try to downplay it all you want and say it's not binging. But the reality of it is, you still have food issues, whatever you label it. Regardless of whatever you feel is a binge, it doesn't negate the fact that you don't get to 500+ pounds without a very disordered relationship with food. Semantics don't matter. What you're missing is that binging, like most things, falls on a spectrum. Binging ranges from just eating 2 to 3 times what the average person eats in a sitting, to eating everything in sight like condiments. You are binging by definition. It's not 2 to 3 times what you normally eat, it's 2 to 3 times a normal intake for the average person at any given time. You are absolutely binging, 2 to 3 times normal caloric intake, if you are maintaining your BMI, which you are. And that's okay. It's okay to have problems and not be perfect. But you won't ever get past this and get approved until you truly accept it and work on it. Amber, if you don't binge, going a year without binging shouldn't be hard. Either way, you overeat to the point of being sick, and if you do that after receiving WLS, it could be detrimental. The doctors wanting to address your eating issues shouldn't be a surprise, and I'd guess any other program would make you do the same thing. Do you think that WLS is going to cure your food addiction? Even after surgery, you can eat junk in small amounts all day. Some people get the surgery, lose 50 to 100 pounds, and then gain it back because they haven't dealt with the addiction. The clinic is trying to get you to fix that first so you don't get the surgery thinking that it will solve your problem. Thanks for watching our channel. Please hit that like button and subscribe if you want to see more. Until next time, stay safe.